creating takeaways. I think our fundamentals have improved. I think we have better awareness and knowledge relative to situational football. Gotten to a point where I think we can play fast. Our height, length, and speed can be a factor in the game.
1010XL will have Gators football all season long. Listen live to the season opener on Saturday with kickoff at 3:30. It's 89 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
This is the time of year where if you're a college football fan, you get to just sit back, relax all day Saturday, Sunday night, Monday night, and you get so much college football. If you're an NFL fan, you're sitting there, you're like tapping,
almost there.
Right, tapping your toes on the ground going, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? But almost there for NFL football.
You're just analyzing your depth charts right now.
Right, and that's why I'm so glad that we had week 0, so we've already seen a college football game. In our business, it's fun, so much fun to watch football. It's not as much fun to talk about football for months on end without getting to actually see some football. And so now we're finally in that phase where for the last month we've seen training camp and preseason. Now we've actually seen some college football. The talking season is over. That's my favorite part, is when football season actually begins and we get to see which teams are going to disappoint, which teams are going to impress. And as far as NFL football is concerned, there are some guys that we're waiting to see if they're going to make it on the Jaguars practice squad or not.
Yeah, and I'll kind of reiterate what I just said during the handoff with Jags today. Per my reporting / just kind of deductive reasoning. Biggest surprise from yesterday, I know we said it on the air and we didn't believe it, that they waived Christian Braswell. I have on good account that the Jags are trying to get him back to the practice squad. He does have some other offers out there, and so it, of course, will be interesting to see if a team actually claims him once the waiver deadline, which passed 2 minutes ago, does become final and it is made available. And so that's certainly one to monitor, but I really believe the Jaguars tried to hedge their bet by waiving the second-year corner and keeping the likes of our friend Assezi, Jeremiah Ledbetter, the 11 defensive linemen. The reason for that, the more and more I've thought this through, Jeremiah Ledbetter is a vested veteran, right? I just got done explaining this with Osher and Dempsey and Tony. As a vested veteran, he can sign with any team if he's released. And as a veteran guy who has played multiple positions in the interior of a defensive line, probably, a guy who maybe isn't a star, but is certainly proven. Additionally, he can play a truly on-the-nose, zero-tech position. There's only 2 other players on the Jaguars roster that can do that. That's Devon Hamilton, who will be your starter at the nose, and the rookie Jordan Jefferson, who missed much of camp. And while he certainly flashed when he did come back from that injury, to expect a true rookie with only half of a training camp to be thrown into the fire and be part of that rotation to back up Devon Hamilton, even if Devon Hamilton is eating up most of the snaps at that position, that's a tall ask. And so that's where I think the Jags hedged their bet and said, you know what, we'd rather have a veteran interior guy who we know if we make him available, he could get snatched up or choose to go elsewhere on his own accord, versus a young guy who will have to be on pins and needles for the next 24 hours. But the hope is we get him on the practice squad. And in turn, A, if we need that extra defensive back, we can call him up when we need. And C, if we get to a point in the regular season where you recognize, oh my goodness, we need more defensive backs on the 53-man roster, and we don't need as many defensive linemen because Jordan Jefferson is emerging, because Mason Smith is a regular contributor to the defense, both on the interior and on the edge. That's where maybe you say goodbye to a Ledbetter and you make way for one of those younger corners on the practice squad.
I also think, Taylor, that they liked Darnell Savage at nickel, and Jarian Jones has proven to be a really good backup at nickel if he doesn't end up starting at some point this season at nickel. And some people thought Jarian would move outside. Well, then that would have created the spot for Christian Braswell. But if that's the case, if it's Savage and then Jarian, then you don't need 3 nickels on this team, or at least as of now, you don't need that.
Yeah, and I think that what it boils down to is how much
they see this rotation going through and where they actually see some of these guys that are versatile and where the majority of their time is going to be spent. Because we've talked a ton about that. And when Savage came here, a lot of the chatter was he could, more so be that nickel. Even in our first depth chart, I had him in my corner group, not my safety group, because I heard how good he was at that nickel corner spot and how the Packers had talked for years that that's the spot that he probably should have been playing because that's where he stood out the most. But you do have so much versatility between a lot of these guys on the roster. It is a little disappointing for a lot of us because we like the way that Braswell was playing throughout the preseason. And I think having that guy that you felt was a true nickel, like that was his spot, comforted you a little bit. But when you do have so much versatility, there are those decisions that you have to make of which spot when you go back to a Ledbetter. And when we see Eric Armstead getting listed as a defensive end, it does seem like he'll be spending more time on the outside than maybe some people thought. And so because of that, Ledbetter does have a chance to be on the inside a lot more than maybe some thought, especially to her point, when you don't maybe want a rookie having that much pressure immediately to go out in week 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's also we are who we are. Like I'm always going to be a Gators fan. Even if I hadn't gone to Florida, I'd still be a Gators fan because that's where my parents went to school. And I'm always going to love country music. That's just who I am. Mm-hmm. Trent Baalke, who he is he's a guy who loves the bigs. And he loves the offensive line, and he really loves the defensive line, and he really likes guys with long arms. Yeah. We know that. The measurables are something that matter to him. And so when Trent Baalke met with reporters yesterday, and he's telling us that certain people stood out to him because of their size, their length, and athleticism. That shouldn't surprise anyone that the Jaguars, at this phase at least, wanted to keep the 21. We probably predicted more like 20, but still 21 linemen.
And I think that it's important, again, to note that when you look at the 11 defensive linemen that they have, yes, I don't think a lot of Jaguar fans would think of Roy Robertson Harris as a wide 9. I don't think they'd think of Mason Smith as a wide 9, despite the fact that he's been open, that he has played that position, if only at the college level. And so, again, I think that's where you have to kind of shift your brain back to the pre-3-4 defense, which honestly, in a vacuum, is kind of hilarious that we find ourselves back here in Duval County, Lauren, after years of fans clamoring that they wanted a 3-4. They were sick of Todd Wash's 4-3. Now we're back in the 4-3 world, folks, and the idea of a big end and who fills that big end, could it be a multitude of guys just like that nickel slot position? I think we need to start remembering that more and more, and it's not... And it also speaks to Ryan Nielsen's defense, which I've continuously said on this program and on this station. The idea of, okay, you play outside linebacker, you play there 85% of the snaps. Maybe rotate inside 1 or 2 snaps a week. Mm-hmm. That doesn't exist anymore. That doesn't exist along the defensive front under Ryan Nielsen. That doesn't exist in the secondary under Chris Richard. Yeah. You are moving a lot of different places, and I don't care who you are. And while I certainly think... Because in training camp, they wanted to, and Coach Campo did a great job of really, painting the picture yesterday. Chris Richard and Ryan Nielsen took what every defense coordinator in the league wants to do, which is to give guys opportunity to win jobs and rotate them in hockey shifts. Yes, I don't think it's going to be quite as dramatic once the bright lights come on and it's game action. But, Lauren, I do think you're going to see hockey shifts. I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as when you have a 91-man roster, but I do think that rotation is a real thing in this defensive scheme.
Right, because keeping guys fresh is how you get to the quarterback. When you have, and yes, the Jaguars duo of Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen last season did a great job of that with the 27.5 sacks. But there wasn't pressure really from anywhere else. And so, yes, those guys down in and down out were on the field, and they certainly worked super hard. And certainly Trayvon Walker also, his pass rush technique improved a lot from season 1 to season 2. But eventually, too, that does become predictable. And you've got to keep guys, Taylor, in my opinion, on that defensive front that are, A, confusing the other team, but B, are also ready to go. Eric Armstead may not play 90% of the snaps. That's a good thing because he's got the fresher leg.
Yeah, I think between the rotation and maybe even easing Eric Armstead, we didn't see much of him during camp or the preseason at all, obviously. And so now maybe not having to make him come in and play 90% coming off of the injury that he had later in the season. So stuff like that. Or even when you're talking about a Mason Smith and you want Mason Smith in the rotation, you want to see what he's capable of. He missed a full season in college and he played healthy last year, but you didn't see him 100%. So some of these guys, and Devon Hamilton, he played injured or was injured last season with obviously a little bit different of a situation. But when you have these guys that are all kind of coming back from missing time or not being 100% themselves, it is nice to also have depth pieces that you can rely on. And so when you have 11 guys, there's a lot of ways that you can rotate and fit some of these guys in where they're not having to play 85-90% of the snaps like we had to see last year.
Yeah, I think fans are going to have to go back and rewatch games if they really want to see the intricacies of the defense. I don't think it's going to be as simple as it was the last 2 seasons because of all of those different complications that Nielsen's going to throw in. At the end of the day, 2 of the rookies could end up playing massive parts in this defense. Mason Smith and Miles Cole. I don't know about Jordan Jefferson yet, even though he's got that huge size, certainly. But those 2 specifically to me, based off of what Doug Pederson and Trent Baalke said yesterday, but also what we've seen through camp, because they have been able to play a lot, those 2 guys, I think, at the end of the year, we're going to look back and say those were 2 really critical draft picks.
And I think it's important to note, Mason Smith's not going to have 10 sacks. He could. I don't think it's going to happen. That's okay.
Yeah.
If he gives you 4 sacks, great run defense, I know that's weird to say considering where he came from and the lack of run defense that they had in the Bayou last year.
Or defense.
Correct, overall. If he's able to clog holes, if he's able to affect the passer, push the pocket, what did people clamor for in this town all of last season during Devon Hamilton's absence?
Yeah.
Pushing the pocket. And even when he came back, there was nobody alongside of him who could push the pocket. Then that is a successful rookie campaign. It's that simple, and I understand, just like Trayvon Walker 2 years ago, there will be those of you who Mason Smith is, in the words of Mike Tomlin, the player that they are game planning for because that's the game wrecker, but because the stats aren't showing up, you will still regard it as a miss by Trent Baalke. I have accepted that because I've accepted it how some of you feel about Trayvon. That's fine. Win games, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and one of the things going back to at the top of this, we were, as the waiver wires start going through and you're seeing what players come back to the practice squad. I actually did see the stat yesterday on Twitter, and it was kind of interesting because even here, yesterday, what players could you possibly see being picked up on other teams or looked at on other teams? But the chances of that happening it's very rare. So I found this where it went back to 2019 and the amount of players that were claimed on the first run through the waiver wire going back to 2019. So last year, 24 out of hundreds of players, only 24 were claimed. The year before, it was around 33. The year before, it was 26.
Which of those 33, 5 of them in 2022 were the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, really?
They had 5 of the 33 waiver claims.
So there it is. And then 2020 had very little. It was only about 16 or 17 in 2020.
That's probably a COVID thing.
Yeah. And then 2019 was the highest that we had seen in this time frame, and that was around 37 players claimed off the waiver wire. But so I think you could expect that within, like I said, the hundreds of players that have been open to this waiver wire now, I think max we'll see is 30 players getting, the things kind of trickling in. So that's good news because it means that a lot of these players that we do want to see back here and have a chance to be on the roster at some point this season, a high chance that we will see them back.
Certainly. One guy that made the team that some people weren't sure. Some people really wanted to see Elijah Cooks make the team over Tim Jones. Some people, Austin Trammell even, over Tim Jones. But Tim Jones, as we know, is a core special teams player. Mia caught up with him yesterday. We will hear that interview. On the other side, you are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
1010XL Weekly is your one-stop shop for all things Jags, college ball, preps, and more. Subscribe to our newsletter today, and you'll be entered to win free tickets to the Packers game this October. Subscribe, just head on over to 1010XL.com and scroll down to the 1010XL Weekly flash page.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
At Garber Auto Mall, we can wiggle it. Best price, we can wiggle it. Best trade value, we can wiggle it. Best payment, we can wiggle it. Ford, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. With 8 American brands, we can wiggle it. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or online at GarberAutomall.com. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there's always a little room for wiggle.
Do the Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Injured in an accident? Have mounting medical bills? Can't work? Don't worry. Zach's got your back. I'm Zach Von Rowan of Von Rowan Law. I will fight for the compensation that you deserve. Set up your free consultation at zachsgotyourback.com.
Lauren Brooks here. Circa Resort and Casino has an incredible all-in package for Duval in December. For only $500, tax and resort fee included, get a 3-night stay at Circa, $200 food and beverage credit, plus a day bed at Stadium Swim. With 6 temperature-controlled pools and a massive screen, it's the world's largest hot tub party. Join us Heels Friday night for a Jacksonville pep rally with specials and giveaways. To book the Jacksonville game day getaway and join the Heels in Vegas, visit circalasvegas.com today.
It's Helmets and Heels, Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
If the Florida heat is getting you down and you're sweating up a storm, fire up a phone call to Florida Home AC and order an AC tune-up. It's the best way to beat the heat and keep your AC unit working at peak performance. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com for their tune-up special and make sure you're primed for the peak of that heat. Florida Home AC, the official AC provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and just a phone call away at 777-4300. Order that tune-up today.
Nick in here for Bout 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bout 9. Visit Bout 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bout 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Follow the Canes as they storm the ACC.
I'm 1010XL's JJ LaSalva, and every week I'll bring you the Miami news and notes you need to know.
The Performance Painting Hurricane Report on 1010XL. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Attention skilled electricians, are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just a job, but an experience, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
Grab your lucky spot on the couch, because traditions make Sunday easy to enjoy. Bud Light, easy to Sunday, easy to enjoy. Bud Light is the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus. Copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch. Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you be active, reach weight loss goals, and find your inner strength while you connect with your community. Family memberships at the Y include unlimited group exercise classes, childcare while you work out, and youth sports participation. It's easy to join the Y and affordable for all. Plus, the Y is a great place to meet a new circle of friends. Visit the Y near you or online at fcymca.org.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match, or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically, if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari, at Bari Orthopedics.
We love talking sports on 1010XL, and I9 Sports love giving kids the perfect way to grow up playing sports. Fall and winter registration is underway. Log on to i9sports.com and see all they've got to offer. Kids 3 and up. You can enter 1010 in the promo code for a discount for year-round sports all across the First Coast. St. John's, Duval, and Clay. Sign up now for fall and winter Great locations added like Fort Family Field, Westside Middle, and Duval Charter Bay Meadows. It's all online at i9sports.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Up down by the railroad tracks, you BBs and old beer can.
Taylor Dahl, Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks.
Strike somebody lifted off of his old man.
Since you mentioned him earlier, Mia, I will tell you definitively this is what the Jaguars media guide has. Asezi Otomewo. Asezi Otomewo.
Okay, well, I'm going to interview him after practice today. So Mike Dempsey already asked me. I'm going to have him. Yes. It's going to be the first question. If he's listening right now, this is the first question, Asezi.
Otomewo.
How do you pronounce your name? We're going to record it, and then producers can just drop it in after any host says Asezi, and then they just drop it in.
That's because when I had been looking, when I first saw it, that's how I heard it. And I don't remember if it was a YouTube or if I found sometimes on the college site it will have like an actual recording of how you say their names. But somehow I saw it, but then everyone was saying it different, so I had just stopped. I was like, never mind.
That's my guess based off of this. Asezi Otomewo. But like you said, you'll interview him later today. Speaking of interviews, you got to chat with Tim Jones yesterday. And for people who are on our YouTube channel, they got to see it yesterday and the emotion that was in Tim Jones's voice.
Yeah, for Tim Jones, I mean, this is a guy, and we go into detail about it. He's got a young family. He's been on the roster bubble. He knows he's on the roster bubble every year, but he also recognizes the value of what he brings to this team on special teams, a position that he had never played when he graduated from Southern Miss. So here is Tim Jones in his own words, emotions of Cut Down Day. Pleased to be joined with, man, this is wild to say, Jaguars' fourth-year wide receiver, Tim Jones. Tim, you make this team, or rather, you eventually make this team after an undrafted free agent rookie season. You've made this initial 53-man roster now each of the past 3 seasons. Walk me through, as you reflected out on the practice field today as part of this 53-man roster again, the journey it took to get here.
I'll say, every single year it always comes down to just coming to work every day and, doing what I do best, and that's providing whatever this team needs me to do. My big role on this team is special teams, and coming out of college, I never would have thought I'd play special teams, but I've grown to love it and love what I do and just come out here and work every day.
What were the conversations the last few weeks, especially on the special teams front, knowing so many guys vying for 53 roster spots?
You just never know what's going to happen. There's always ups and downs, and you hate cut day, obviously. But, at the end of the day, you just never know. You just got to work.
What is that anticipation like when you wake up this morning, yesterday? Can you put it into words?
It's just a whole lot of stress. I guess that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. You got a young one at home, young one on the way, right?
I have one 1.5-year-old at home, little Aries, my son, and then I do have another boy on the way due next month. Yep.
So I would imagine between that, the family, there's so many things running through your mind, these 48 hours or so. How do you process that while also still going to work each day and saying, all right, I just got to keep showing up?
At the end of the day, you come to work and do what you can do and, show what you can show every single day and leave it on the field. And, at the end of the day, you can't control, what they do at the end of the day. So you just got to keep doing what you're doing and trust the process.
Describe this wide receiver room as it stands currently, knowing the 2 wide receiver rooms you've been a part of in the past 2 years. What stands out about this one?
All the groups I've been a part of, they've been great. This group here, just the friendship that we have and, being on the field playing with each other and just understanding each other on the field. I'd say the connection that we all have together is the best part.
Is Gabe Davis really as much of a joker as they say he is?
Oh, Gabe, he's hilarious, man. Yeah, he is.
And meanwhile, I hear your role in that wide receiver room when they've been asked as far as if they were stuck on a deserted island. You're the guy that everybody says. Why is that? Just because you can fish?
I guess that's why. I'm outdoorsman, mostly fisherman, always on the boat like every weekend. Shoot the day before camp. I'm out there trying to catch me a dang king, get him in the boat. But yeah, I'm always fishing. That's probably why.
Kingfish is the go-to?
I've tried this year. Every time I try, I get sharked.
I've gotten sharked too. If you can believe it, I've only been 3 times in my life I've been sharked as well. It's the barracudas.
Yeah, that's what it was. Exactly what it was. The cuda got me. So
Yeah, they get you every time. Describe for us, Tim, this next week. You've now been through it twice before. It's like the limbo week of sorts. You guys are getting ready for the opener. What is actually happening on the practice field these next few days?
Just working and coming to sharpen up things, before week 1 starts. I mean, that's really it.
Before we let you go, special teams wise, a lot of young guys in that core group. Obviously, Dewey will start the season on IR. Give us a couple names of guys who you've been really impressed with their development as special teamers this offseason.
I don't want to leave anybody out or anything, but because I sit right by them in meetings, DeAndre Prince and JJ. I mean, both of those guys, they've really come along and on teams, and just from day one, seeing them develop, and finding their role, I mean, that's really good for them.
You said it yourself. You didn't play any special teams in college. How impressive is it that those guys come in fresh out of school, not maybe a ton of special teams reps, and they're able to contribute?
No, that's awesome because, even my rookie year, I practice squad, but, I still didn't know anything on special teams, and those guys, just seeing them, develop and grasp everything that coach has given them, it's awesome to see.
So, Tim, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And our thanks to Tim for joining us yesterday. And, of course, we saw the Jaguars' initial 53-man roster, as we led the program with, only have 5 corners. But 2 of those young corners, as much as they are rookies, the expectation from what Tim has said and from what we've heard, I anticipate DeAndre Prince and Jarian Jones having a say on special teams, which, that is something that, as Tim said, it's kind of hard, as much as Trey did a little bit more special teams at Ole Miss than Jarian necessarily did at FSU, for those young guys to step in and day one be contributors.
Well, it is when you get down to the special teams talk, and that's why sometimes people that fully don't think about that part of the game don't understand certain cuts and certain players that are kept. And Tim Jones was obviously a big one. I saw the amount of people that I saw post, like, really Tim Jones over Elijah Cooks. What does Tim Jones have on Trent Baalke, or what does Tim Jones have on Doug Pederson? And I was like, he's just a massive part of the special teams. And when you have, especially with the special team side of the ball shifting so much in previous years, and especially this year with the kickoff and everything else that's going on, you do want guys that specifically fit what you want to do on that side of the ball. And same when we come to the backup of the defensive backs, and certain players, I heard DeAndre Prince was one where a lot of people weren't crazy about them keeping DeAndre. I heard several comments about they didn't see much from him in camp or the preseason, but that's another factor when you have to come in and you have to look at this whole side of, yes, offense, defense, but special teams is a large part of the game.
I also think, Mia, some people only watch preseason because they're not able to go to training camp practices. And so fans only take what they see in preseason, but they don't get to see what we get to see in those practices. And Trey Prince, to me, has stood out several times, and not just because he's a taller corner, but I think he has really good ball tracking ability, and he's fast as well.
Yeah,
so
4.3 speed.
Yeah, I thought he was always going to make
I will say it was someone on air that said that about Prince, too.
I was told by somebody, on air, to be certain. I was told by somebody who was at his pro day at Ole Miss, he was one of the fastest cats they studied during the NFL draft process. And so, therefore, I believe in the speed. The one thing that Urban Meyer perhaps got right here was speed. Mm-hmm. I also have seen that sticky coverage ability when the pads have come on. And even if it hasn't resulted in actual stats in the 3 preseason games, Lauren, we saw him. There was one practice he broke up 2 passes against the first team offense. And so, again, you also need to remember, for those of you who love to say the Jaguars let good players get away and then they become good when they leave the Jags, right? Love to say that, right? Sometimes you have to give these players a year or 2 to develop. Mm-hmm. Now, I am not suggesting that giving Caleb on Chase on 4 years to develop was wise, but what I am saying is that saying to a Trey Prince, or even a Javon Foster for that matter, and saying, you know what, we saw enough growth in the course of 2 months that clearly the trajectory is the arrow's pointed upward. So let's see what we have in this next year. Give you the opportunity to develop on the 53-man roster.
You want to talk cats and dogs when we return?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Clemson and Georgia kick off at noon.
I do like cats and I do like dogs. I have a great picture of Terrence from this morning.
We will chat with Jason Priester up in Clemson. He's a beat writer for Clemson Insider when we return. Number 1, Georgia taking on number 14, Clemson in Atlanta. That'll be a good one this Saturday. That's next on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots and the first treatment now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
This is Tony Baselli, Pro Football Hall of Famer. I was known for protecting our quarterback. These days, I'm extending that protection to a different arena, your home. I have partnered with Heritage Roofing of North Florida, your premier local roofers with over 25 years of experience. Heritage is your go-to roofer for hurricane preparation with same-day inspections and estimates. They also work with all insurance companies. Let Heritage Roofing of North Florida safeguard your home and family. Visit heritagenfl.com for your free estimate today.
State license CCC 1335410.
Imagine stepping out of your cozy cabin on a crisp fall morning, coffee in hand, a stunning view from your private porch greets you. You spend the day relaxing at the tiki bar or taking a dip in the year-round pool while catching the big game on TV. Welcome to Island Oaks RV Resort, just past McClenny off exit 333. Book your cabin that sleeps 4 to 6 people. A close, affordable getaway with activities for the whole family. Make memories that last at Island Oaks RV Resort. IslandOaksRVResort.com.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. You know, I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. You know, basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Mia here. Are you ready for the ultimate college football season? Using MyBookie Sportsbook and Casino platform, you can bet on every game and win anytime, anywhere, straight from your mobile device. No app needed. Just click the link at mybookie.ag on the upper right-hand corner. Sign up, and you are ready to rock. Did you know that the average college football game runs about 180 plays? Literally every catch, every sack, and every touchdown is another way to hit pay dirt using MyBookie. Of course, you can also bet the spreads and the totals. We're going to hit the full slate coming up in Mia's MyBookie picks in just a little bit. Let me give you a little teaser, though, folks. The Florida Gators, 2.5-point dogs. The Dogs of Georgia, 13.5-point favorites. If you think you can beat the spread, head on over to mybookie.ag now and use promo code 1010XL when signing up in order to claim up to $1,000 on your first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
It's Helmets and Heels, Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to our website, CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
This Day in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On August 28, 1994, at the 94th U.S. Golf Amateur Championship, golf pro Tiger Woods becomes the youngest to ever win the championship at age 18.
Hello, I'm Malcolm Anthony. I've been practicing criminal defense law for over 40 years. It's what I love to do, it's what I do well. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 2854-LAW. 2854-LAW for Malcolm Anthony.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality product and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Who was the first baseball player to appear on a Wheaties box?
Having the right homeowner's policy protection means you're staying on top of your most valuable possession, your home. For information on finding an agent, go to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Lou Gehrig was the very first baseball player and athlete, for that matter, to appear on a Wheaties box. 1934.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
What's up? I'm Miles.
Hey, and I'm Jara.
And the little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Maple Pepper Bacon Sandwich is how the flavors come together. First, I taste the smoky grilled chicken, then the pepper bacon with that maple bun, added with the sweet heat and the pickles.
I'm really sold on the pickle. It meets you in the middle with the sweetness and the heat.
It's spice-tastic.
Yum-licious.
Flavoristic.
The sandwich of the summer. The Maple Pepper Bacon Sandwich.
Order the Maple Pepper Bacon Sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Former Jaguars corner and first-year head football coach at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows, K-12, Aaron Beasley here. Are you looking for an A-rated K-12 school prioritizing academics, arts, and athletics? Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows offers a rigorous curriculum to develop strong minds with an additional focus on growing good hearts. DCSB has been an A school for 8 years, and our tuition is free. Now enrolling. Apply at baymeadowscharter.org.
This is Dr. Steve Crenshaw, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Yesterday afternoon, the Jags finalized their 53-man roster, cutting Jags veteran offensive lineman Tyler Shatley. Shatley spent 10 seasons in Jacksonville and previously announced how this would be his final season in the NFL. Coach Doug Pederson spoke on the difficulty of letting him go.
It is of his tenure and his commitment and the longevity that he's had here in Jacksonville, and it's always hard. You know, it's tough when they've been a staple in the community and on your team and in your organization for as many years as he has, and I just appreciate his hard work. You know, he's another one of those guys that he kept working his tail off, right? And then we'd get an injury in the offensive line, and he would go in, and he's just Mr. Reliable. It's tough to make those decisions.
Sound courtesy of Jaguars.com. I'm Molly McDonald with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
We are very appreciative of our next guest joining us on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. Take you all behind the curtain. Bit of a ring around the rosy circus led us to none other than Jason J.P. Priester, the beat writer for Clemson Insider, joining us now to break down Clemson and Georgia on Saturday. Jason, appreciate you joining us on such short notice.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Always love talking about Clemson. And, of course, the Dogs will face the Tigers. Cats and dogs, as Lauren so eloquently put it before we headed to our last break this Saturday at noon. Big picture, JP. Clemson in 2024. What will define success for this fan base and Dabo Swinney this fall?
That's a good question, you know. It would probably depend on which fan you ask, but generally speaking, I think the fan base wants to see this program take a step back towards national relevancy, whether that means making the playoff or having success in the playoff. At the very least, it needs to start with making a return to the playoff. And it kind of starts Saturday against Georgia. I don't know that Clemson necessarily needs to go out and win that game, but they need to show that they can compete with what is thought to be arguably the best team in the country going into the season. You don't want to go in there and get your doors blown off. That's going to feed right into some of the narratives that already exist about the program taking a step back and is, you know, done for good and Dabo's done and all that good stuff. I think you at the very least need to show that you can compete with those guys, keep it close, whether you win or lose. If you can compete, I think that's a win for Clemson week one.
JP, when you're looking at the end of last season, Clemson was able to win the last 5 games, including against at the time, number 14th ranked Notre Dame team. So definitely some momentum going out of the season, kind of into this season. But in your opinion, what are your thoughts on what questions were answered during that 5-game win stretch, and what ones still kind of lingered into this offseason?
You know, I think there were some questions answered about maybe the resiliency of that locker room and how they continued to buy in and those kind of things. But, you know, as far as the offense in Garrett Riley's first year, I think there are still a lot of questions to be answered. They had to change some things up going into that Notre Dame game. They changed some blocking schemes up front, went back to more of a zone blocking scheme than they, compared to what they had been running over the first half of the season. And it ended up being successful for them. They ran the ball very well that day, and they strung off 5 straight wins to finish the season. But the passing game still struggled. They were just not able to push the ball down the field. They kind of had to rely on long scoring drives, dinking and dunking down the field. And that's something that's got to change if this program is going to get back to where they once were. They've got to be able to push the ball down the field. Cade Klubnik, quarterback's got to take a big step forward in his development. They've got to keep those receivers healthy, and they've got to get more production out of those guys than they had the past 3 years.
There's been so much negative conversation concerning Dabo Swinney and the lack of transfer portal players that he'd like to take. Do you think he felt a little bit vindicated, though, this past Saturday when Florida State loses to Georgia Tech and DJ Uiagalelei didn't have the best performance?
I can't answer whether he felt a little bit vindicated or not, but I do think it's a complex topic that's probably not as cut and dry as a lot of people make it out to be. I know there are a lot of people inside the Clemson fan base that would like to see Dabo be a little more aggressive in the portal than he has been. They did make a run at 2, 3, I can't remember if it was 2, 3, or 4 offensive linemen over the offseason. Didn't land any of them. Coincidentally, one of them played very well for Georgia Tech the other day in that win over Florida State, Keelan Rutledge. But, it'll be interesting to see how that philosophy he has evolves over the next few years, whether it evolves at all or he sticks to his guns. It's kind of one of the bigger sticking points inside this fan base right now.
You can find him on X, Twitter, whatever you're calling it these days, at JP_Priester, Priester. He is the beat writer for Clemson Insider. JP, let's take a further look at Cade Klubnik. Expectations pretty high, pretty darn high when he first arrived in Clemson, South Carolina, comparatively to where he is now. Have you seen growth from him this offseason that suggests that this is the year he takes the next step?
Yeah, I think we've seen some growth. Now, let me explain what that means a little bit. We're not allowed to watch much practice at all, so we don't get to see them practice. We get a few windows during fall camp for 3 short windows. So we don't get to watch them practice every day and those kind of things. But some of the talk coming out of fall camp and as they have been preparing for Georgia has been that Cade looks different. If you look at him, he looks different physically. He looks a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, which I think can help him, in the running game. He was not very effective as a runner last year. Clemson needs him to at least be a threat in the running game. They need him to be able to make some plays with his legs. But I'll be the first to admit, Klubnik is nowhere near where I thought he would be heading into his junior season. I thought he would be so much better as a sophomore, but it just goes to show you different guys develop at different paces. If you go back and watch his high school film, he seems to have all the tools. I think the game was still just a little bit too fast for him at times last season. Did seem to settle in some towards the end of the season. I think the final drive of the season and that comeback win over Kentucky was his best by far of the entire year. They kind of went hurry up, and he wasn't having to think a whole lot out there, just letting it rip. And I thought he played his best football the entire season on that drive. We'll see if he can carry it over. All the talk is positive. There's a lot of cautious optimism coming out of that building over there these days. We'll see if it translates onto the field Saturday.
Yeah, one of the moves that Dabo did make this offseason was the hiring of Matt Luke as the offensive line coach. So definitely seemed like he saw that a bit of an area of concern as Klubnik was sacked almost 30 times last season. But what does that indicate for you and what you may see in a little bit difference of an offense with a new offensive line coach?
Yeah, make no mistake, Clemson's offensive line struggled mightily at times last season, particularly in pass protection. I think that was one of the biggest factors in making that change. You go from a offensive line coach who was not very experienced, although he had come up in the program. He played at Clemson, but he was not that experienced. And then you go out and bring in a guy like Matt Luke, who is a wealth of experience. You know, he's been a head coach. He helped lead Georgia to a national title in 2021. I mean, he's been there and done that. That's another position group that there are a lot of positive vibes coming out about, you know, during fall camp. It seems Luke has had a tremendous impact on that offensive line. Those guys, they at least sound confident heading into, you know, Saturday against Georgia. But again, you still have to go out and do it on the field. It's one thing to do it in practice. You have to be able to translate that to the field of play when the bright lights are on.
Let's look at this Saturday's matchup against the number one team in the country in the Georgia Bulldogs. Is there any position group where you think Clemson has the advantage?
No, I don't think so. You know, maybe those defensive lines are comparable. I think Clemson's got a really good defense. I think they're really good at linebacker. Maybe there's some similarities there, but I don't think Clemson's any position group on the offensive side of the ball is better than what Georgia has. You know, that makes it that much more imperative that your defense really comes to play Saturday. You can't be giving up the big plays, and that offense can't be turning the ball over, can't be giving Georgia free possessions. So
what you're saying, JP, and not to spoil my bookie picks, which are coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, pound Georgia minus 13.5. Is that the game plan?
Yeah, I think so. I hate to say it. I've not made any predictions yet, but I'm leaning that way. I do think Clemson's going to keep it competitive, but I could see, you know, Clemson's defense maybe getting a little tired in the fourth quarter and Georgia pulling away late and winning by double digits for sure. I did just get a text from one of my friends who's a dog who's listening right now, and he says Clemson has the better defensive line. Maybe that's just a reverse jinx on his part, but that's certainly a storyline and an X factor if Clemson is to have the edge anywhere. We'll end with this, JP, on the Garber Automall hotline. Big picture, Florida State losing to Georgia Tech at the buzzer on Saturday in Dublin. What did that say to Clemson fans, to Dabo Swinney, this Tigers team, as far as the landscape of the ACC is concerned moving forward this fall? You know, there were a lot of people that I know of anyways inside this fan base. They weren't really buying into all the Florida State hype. You know, they lost a lot of pieces from that team last year, particularly on offense and wide receiver. And then they brought in DJ Uiagalelei, who Clemson fans are very familiar with. You know, they weren't really buying into Mike Norvell having this magic potion or whatever to make him that much better. Most Clemson fans believe DJ is kind of who he is, so they weren't surprised by what they saw Saturday. I know a lot of Clemson people who picked Georgia Tech to win that game outright. But, you know, as for what it says, you know, as far as the ACC goes, I think a lot of people feel, you know, that Clemson had just as good a shot as Florida State did of winning the conference this year, and I think Saturday kind of proves that. I think Florida State's got some issues on the offensive side of the ball, and as good of a coach as Mike Norvell is, it's going to be interesting to see if he can get all those new faces that he's got on that team that he brought in via the portal, get them all to jail quick enough to get them to rebound and, you know, have the type of season they were expecting down there in Tallahassee. Well, JP, we appreciate you hopping on. Clemson, Georgia at noon. Will you be on site for this tilt of the Titans? Yes, ma'am. I will be there Saturday. Absolutely. First time I've been to Atlanta since Clemson opened with Georgia Tech a couple years ago. All right, and let's hope maybe Clemson can have a similar result to that game. But minus 13.5, Georgia, JP says, although we'll keep an eye on those trenches. Thanks so much for joining us. Hey, my pleasure. And, of course, again, you can find him at JP_Priester on X. He is the beat writer for Clemson Insider. We appreciate him joining us on the Garber Automall hotline. Minus 13.5, ladies. We like Georgia by two touchdowns. The game a couple of years ago was 10-7 when they played in Charlotte. That was fun. So what you're saying is that it's going to be low scoring, so don't play the points. I wouldn't play the over, that's for sure. But at the same time, Georgia lost 8 players to the NFL draft. Clemson lost 6. 3 of those from the defensive line. So even though people are saying, your friend included, saying, well, Clemson's defensive line is really good, it could be better than Georgia's, that's where I'm not sure. And so I still think Clemson's going to have a unique game plan for Georgia because Dabo Swinney, I do think he's fed up with this whole, he doesn't take guys in the transfer portal, and so therefore Clemson's never going to be good again.
You know who else doesn't take a lot of players in the transfer portal who's incredibly talented? Georgia.
Yeah.
Kirby Smart doesn't really need to take guys. Yes, he took Trevor Etienne. There's a few here and there, but for the most part, Georgia's roster are the same players that Kirby Smart recruited.
Also, we didn't even get to ask JP about this, but I think Phil Maffa, 6'1", 230 pounds, that's an absolute load at running back for Clemson. That's a guy who we saw it in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl last fall here in Jacksonville, or I guess last December. The dude is a full-grown man, and I understand they lose Will Shipley, who, again, is more of your elusive runner, so to speak, but he's a man amongst boys. And so I think you're going to see a heavy dose of the run game on both sides. And, of course, we'd love to see Cade Klubnik versus Carson Beck, but I anticipate this truly coming down to the trenches.
I feel like that's the same thing we said with the Florida State-Georgia Tech game, too, because we were all like, okay, the run game and the trenches are what's going to dictate this, and it does feel like it's kind of the same vibe. The one difference when we're talking about Florida State and, how many players they lost, but half of their starting roster were new guys to the team as a whole. With Georgia, it's literally only Etienne. The rest have been there. They've just been being developed under Georgia for the last couple seasons.
Yeah, if you look at their depth chart from last year, Georgia's, there's still obviously a lot of starters that returned from last year, but a lot of those guys were just playing, they were second on the depth chart, so just playing behind a guy that started. Speaking of the run game, though, Mia, the Georgia running back Roderick Robinson has had to have surgery for his foot. And people are unsure as to whether Etienne's going to play because of the because he could be suspended because of the arrest. I highly doubt it because I feel like at this point, Kirby Smart would have had to say if Etienne's not playing.
It drops right before the game starts.
Right. that would be, or like a Friday news dump.
Look, if you're Kirby, you've got to start towing the line somewhere. Yeah. You're throwing guys off the team. You're saying if you have broken the law and you have disregarded the law of the land and disrespected this program, that you will be forced to see repercussions. He's got to start towing the line somewhere. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but
it was the guy he did.
Rah-rah.
He
threw
did.
rah-rah off the
there's
team.
Maybe a little sprinkle where he's like, I will make a move if I have to.
Not when it's his new starting running back who came from his
But
rival.
then again, maybe he thinks with minus 13.5, he can win without Trevor Etienne. Before we head into the 1 o'clock, let's hit at that and update you on the very latest in Jaguars land on Waiver Wire Wednesday.
That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Waiver claims have landed. The Jaguars did not claim any players off waivers. Additionally, none of the players that they waived were claimed. 2 practice squad announcements. According to Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network, the Jags will re-sign veteran linebacker, speaking of Clemson, Tanner Muse to their practice squad. I can also report that the plan remains in place for Joshua Cephas, the rookie wide receiver out of UTSA, to also join the Jaguars practice squad after being waived yesterday. And finally, a local connection that also relates, of course, to the Chicago Bears. Austin Reed, the St. Augustine Yellow Jacket product, will remain in Chicago and join the Bears practice squad.
I think the Cephas news is the one that most people will be very excited about. Most people probably don't pay enough attention to special teams to have recognized that Tanner Muse did contribute at least during training camp in the preseason, but certainly the undrafted free agent rookie wide receiver, Josh Cephas. There was a lot of hype coming into from OTAs coming into training camp. And so good that he'll be on the practice squad and certainly maybe he can be developed. We will continue the college football conversation on the other side with me as my bookie picks. Also, Chris Doering had something interesting to say yesterday morning on The Drill about the Florida football team. Also let you hear from Miami head coach Mario Cristobal. A lot to do on this Wednesday on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Because winning is the best deodorant.
You smell like a winner.
1010XL.
Get you some of that.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Hey, school's in session, and here's today's lesson. We have hundreds of new vehicles. Trax starting at $299 a month. Traverse for $399 a month. Silverados as low as $499 a month. And they all come with a 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. That means you and your soon-to-be drivers will be protected for the next 20 years. Plus, every purchase will help fund a teacher's project in our schools. Your next assignment, get to Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville. Deadline August 31st. We're here to wow you and our teachers.
Hello, Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. From GFL, Green for Life.
Mia O'Brien here for my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. If water flows through it, the team at Duck Duck can install it or repair it. From septic tank pump outs, drain field installations, clog drains, water heaters to repipes, they do it all. And they do it well. But don't just take my word for it. Check out the reviews on Google and see what customers just like you are saying about their experience with Duck Duck Rooter. Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit duckduckrooter.com to schedule service today.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. Are the company's Zoom calls getting boring? Might be a good time to order some new logo caps or temporary tattoos. Check them out online at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Helmets and heels. Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyoublow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
There are three certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you stay in your home long enough, a new roof. Pick it here for our friends at Lockhart Roofing. Nobody better in Jacksonville. How do I know? They are a local certified Master Elite contractor, and that means they have a GAF Master Elite warranty. That's the best in the roofing industry. In this day and age, don't settle for cheaper discount roofers. Lockhart Roofing has been here for decades. They aren't going anywhere. Call my friends at Lockhart Roofing, 994-3851. That's 994-3851. Lockhart Roofing, Jacksonville's best for Jacksonville people.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
This is David Lane. After suffering through several painful injuries to my shoulder, back, and knees, I've taken my issues to Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and without fail, they've been a tremendous help towards solving my problems. If you have any orthopedic situations, don't procrastinate. Take action today. Give those aches and pains to the pros at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. You'll be glad you did.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Tickets are on sale now for this year's Florida Forum Speaker Series featuring former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, physician and author Deepak Chopra, and author of Bad Monkey and Hoot, Floridian novelist Carl Hiaasen. Funds raised are for Kids Care Mobile ICUs, neonatal and pediatric critical care transport vehicles. These vehicles and helicopters safely transport more than 2,000 infants and children a year to Wolfson Children's Hospital. Get your tickets now at thefloridaforum.com.
Hey, this is Bert Cannon with the First Coast YMCA. Youth sports at the Y can help nurture your future athlete's potential and experience the joy of being a kid. At the Y, we're providing a safe, clean, and fun environment with basketball, soccer, volleyball, gymnastics, elite skills training, and more. Best of all, participation in Legacy Youth Sports League is free with your family membership. Visit fcymca.org to learn all about youth sports at the Y.
If you're about to order a floral arrangement for someone you love, then take it from me, 1010XL's JJ LaSalva. Use Kuhn Flowers. That's right, Kuhn Flowers. For over 75 years, Kuhn Flowers gets it done right.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. College football is back this Saturday as the top-rated Georgia Bulldogs kick off against the Clemson Tigers in Atlanta at 12 o'clock. Georgia's head coach Kirby Smart talked on what it's like playing an opener like Clemson.
Strength of schedule. I mean, get to play a quality opponent right off the get-go, and when you get into conference play, you're battle-tested, probably better than a team that maybe doesn't play that kind of matchup. You find out more about your team. It's great for the fans. You know, that's the advantage. Great for recruiting, exposure.
Back in Jacksonville, the Jumbo Shrimp fell to the Norfolk Tides in their opening game last night 4-3 after attempting to rally in the 9th inning. Game 2 of the series will be tonight with first pitch at 7:05. It's 90 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Waiver Wednesday. Not that exciting. That's all I have to say. That's why we're going to talk more college football right here. Mia, take it away.
Now, Mia's midday MyBookie picks. Experience the Vegas thrill from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
Oh, the MyBookie picks are heating up, folks, because college football is here. Let's not bury the lead. You already heard. Georgia, a 13.5-point favorite over Clemson, noon Eastern, Saturday. JP Priester says, pound the dogs, minus 13.5. I couldn't agree more. Although I do agree with Lauren Brooks that, hey, you know what? Last time they faced a low-scoring affair, no one saw that coming. Carson Beck's out there with something to prove. Minus 13.5. Give me the dogs. Let's actually, before we pivot back to the Sunshine State and the in-state teams, take a look at the Thursday slate. Yes, that's true. We have football on Thursday, tomorrow, 24-plus hours away. I'm going to start with the Big Ten's dark horse in 2024. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights, 36.5-point favorites over the real HU. Howard Bison, I will take the Scarlet Knights. Thank you, please. I'm not kidding. That's not bias. A lot of folks believe that with the schedule in front of them, while it's certainly a bit of a gauntlet in the back end, Rutgers could find itself in a bowl game once again.
No one actually believes Rutgers is going to win the Big Ten.
No. I just mean that they're going to go to a bowl game and be competitive.
I was going to say.
No. I just mean that
that is a bold take.
No, they'll be like the Mizzou. Although Mizzou, because they had 8 wins or 9, whatever, 11 wins eventually, but 10 wins in the SEC, that carries a bit more weight than 7 or 8 wins necessarily in the Big Ten. So yeah, we're gonna pick Rutgers, cover 36.5. I like it. The UCF Knights, 41.5-point favorites over New Hampshire. It's pretty rich. You know what? Give me the over, 63. And I don't know if it's necessarily because my uncle, who I saw at my sister's wedding over the weekend, played at New Hampshire, playing into that. But maybe the Cats find a way to cover that 41.5-point spread against, of course, the 2017 national champions. We already mentioned Georgia. We're going minus 13.5. We're all in on the dogs. Florida, the one you've been waiting for. 2.5-point dogs against the Miami Hurricanes. I am going to take the plus money, Florida on the money line, plus 117 at MyBookie right now. Never say I didn't do anything nice for you, Florida fans. And finally, let's wrap with this. And of course, if you have any other lines that you're interested in checking out, make sure you head on over to mybookie.ag, log in, press Sportsbook in the upper left-hand corner. All the lines, all the spreads are right there for you to take a look at. Florida State, the line has shifted, ladies. Now a 16-point favorite over Bill O'Brien's Boston College Eagles in his first game at the helm. Florida State's going to win, but I think that they're going to play with with house money a little bit at Doak Campbell. Plus 16, Boston College pays out minus 110. I got Boston College covering the 16-point spread. A nice little parlay of 5 plus 278. Make sure you head on, or plus 2788, excuse me. Make sure you head on over to mybookie.ag and you make your picks ahead of this weekend's games.
So FSU BC started at 17.5. Is that accurate?
And then it shifted to
has it moved towards Boston College?
It actually dropped a little bit. It was 14.5, and then it went back up to 16. Yeah, okay. So it's.
I see it on a different website, 17.5, and I was like, oh wow, I'm surprised.
So I mean, it's gone back and forth. I think people don't really know what to make of the Noles after last week's performance. I think they're going to get the win. I just think Boston College. I would compare Boston College to Rutgers. For those of you who are now panicked thinking I think Rutgers is going to beat Ohio State. They're not. They're not even going to beat Iowa. But I do think that Boston College has the potential to be a 7-8 win team, especially in a weaker ACC.
What do you see it more as then? Like a touchdown or a touchdown and a half?
Like a 10-point game.
Yeah,
10-point game. I just think, look, if last week was any indication of what Florida State's run defense will be, if only to begin the season, I just think Tommy Castellanos is going to run all over them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a concern, even if the DBs hold up at the back end and they're able to pick them off a time or two, because I do expect that to happen. I expect that secondary to bounce back. Not that I thought they were that awful against Georgia Tech, but I do expect that run defense, while I think it will be better than it was against Georgia Tech, because I think Mike Norvell had to light a fire under them this week. I still have questions about it until proven otherwise.
For the first time in my life, I'm looking at a Rutgers football schedule. We talk all about how Florida's is the hardest in the nation, right? Rutgers only plays, as of now, one ranked team in the entire season, which is USC. And
so I'm telling you,
what to make of USC.
7-win Rutgers. Start saying it with me.
How do you get a schedule like that? They don't face Michigan. They don't face Ohio State. They don't face Penn State. Like, that just seems...
It's honestly the Big Ten, like, taking sympathy and, like, taking, just being nice to them after years of playing in the Big Ten, the Eastern Division, and just getting absolutely
walloped.
Here,
the playoff expands. We'll give you a little bit.
Exactly. Literally. We're like, okay, you can, make a nice little trip out to USC. You can host UCLA and Washington, and it's fine. A little trip down the road to Blacksburg, Virginia. Yeah, okay. We'll give you a little bit of a reprieve after being suffocated by Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan for the better part of the last 5 years.
Which I do have a bone to pick with the AP writers. They don't release an updated college football playoff ranking after week 0. They wait until after the Labor Day games in week 1. They should have already re-racked this.
It's interesting.
So we could see, is Florida State still a top 25 team? Did they fall out? Is Georgia Tech now in the top 25? And I understand that most teams didn't play, but I still think that you should do a little bit of work between week 0 and week 1.
I think that it would be difficult because you would only be judging 4 teams. So like Florida State, you would want them to drop, but how far do you drop them because you don't really know anything else that happened in the entire top 25?
Yeah, I just think they're being lazy and they should have to do a little bit more work. All right, let's get it to the game in Gainesville on Saturday. Chris Doering joined the drill yesterday morning, as he does every Tuesday morning, and he has a different vibe and believes this Florida team has a different vibe than maybe a lot of national people.
He genuinely likes this team, and I know a lot of people talk about being optimistic and what they want to see, but I've talked to him a bunch since the spring, and I legitimately feel like this is a team that he feels like is a lot different, and I think they kind of relish being the underdog. It's the same storyline everywhere you go, is just how bad Florida is. Well, your basis of how bad Florida is based on last year. It has nothing to do, because there's very few people that have had the access that I've had to seeing what this team looks like in 2024.
So obviously every time Chris Doering says he or him, he's talking about Billy Napier. And yes, Doering has been able to be around this team more than a lot of people. Even the beat writers are only allowed at practice for about 10, 15 minutes. And so because he's a former Florida wide receiving legend there, he's had more access. And I'm not saying that Florida's going to be a world beater by any means, but I do think people are at this point in time thinking, like he said, that Florida's just as good as they were last year and that they haven't improved any, especially defensively.
Again, when we look at Florida, and especially on the heels of our conversation with J.P. Priester and talking about Clemson, we have to remember, well, certainly Billy Napier learned at the foot of Nick Saban. He also learned at the foot of Dabo Swinney and Clemson. He has always approached this job as it was going to take time. You need to wait for not only your guys to get there, but for your guys to develop. And while some of us may believe that's an antiquated way of looking at college football in 2024, when you have the Brian Kellys of the world descending into LSU and popping off, when you have Mike Norvell, yes, it took a couple of years, but bringing in players from the transfer portal, that is not the quick fix that Billy Napier wants to build, whether you agree with him or not. And so that is why I think for Chris and those who have heard Billy's philosophy, they're bought in. And because they are seeing development of those young guys, I don't know at what trajectory or what rate you're seeing that, because I'm not in the building down there. But from what Doring has said and from what I've heard from other people around the Florida program, there are steps forward being taken that suggest that the rate of progress has had an uptick.
Do you agree? Because it kind of sounded like he was going the route that we've gone here when it comes to the Jaguars of they play better when they aren't, when it's kind of they're the underdog mentality rather than they're going to perform well this season and they're the team to talk about. Do you feel that with the Gators?
Well, the difference, though, to me, Taylor, I think it's a good question, but the difference to me is the Jaguars most recently were the AFC South favorites.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since Florida has been the team that everyone looks to win the SEC or to compete for an SEC championship. Yes, there were a couple of seasons under Mullen, but Florida certainly hasn't been a team that has been anywhere near the elite. But I like the question in as far as does the chip on their shoulder, the Gators' shoulder, does that help them going into a game against a team that's ranked in the top 25 and Miami ranked 19th against a team that has this quarterback that everyone's been raving about all offseason in Cam Ward, who did flirt with the NFL? That's, I think, going to be something where you can have the right attitude going into a game. Yeah. But to me, his point as far as development, but did you spend the time in the weight room that you needed to? Did you understand the scheme that you needed to defensively? Or are you in the right place? There's a player in my mind, like a Jason Marshall. He can't play worse than he did last season. Like literally,
but he's not one of Billy's guys, Lauren. He's a holdover from the Mullen era. But
people thought he'd be in the NFL by now, and
I know.
So that's a guy where I think he'll have a much better season. The biggest questions, as we all know, offensively, can the offensive line help Florida run the ball without a guy like Etienne now? Montrell Johnson certainly is still there, and what's the depth behind him since it seems like won't play at least early in the season because of the injury that he had, the meniscus repair. And defensively, are they better overall? Because that defensive line, even though Billy Napier talked about how he liked it last year with Caleb Banks and Cam Jackson, they didn't play up to snuff. Certainly in the SEC, they didn't play as well as they should have. So have those been fixed? Because I think there's trust in the quarterback, in Graham Mertz, and it was fun to hear Mario Cristobal talk glowingly about Graham Mertz last season. But now let's hear from Mario Cristobal on his own quarterback, and that is transfer Cam Ward.
Cam Ward has been at different places, and every place he's been, he's just gotten better and better and better. And sometimes he's been playing from ahead and sometimes from behind, but he just plays, and he plays at an extremely high level. And he's done that since the day he got here. He's so focused and concerned about the team doing well that he's willing to do whatever it takes to make the team do well. So all in all, a winner, an alpha, a leader. So he'll have a massive impact on us.
So if we want to go based off the stats to Mario Cristobal's point, his first year at Wazoo, because we won't go to the incarnate word stats, although we probably could pull those up too. Cam Ward, 23 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. An uptick and a decline of 2 the following year. 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. If that trend should hold, that would mean 27 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Obviously a different conference, different team, different outfit. So we don't want to necessarily follow that pattern. But let's say he was to throw for 27 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Oh, and his total yards went up 500 yards year 2 at Wazoo. Yeah. And so now you're closing in on 4,000 yards. I think Canes fans would sign up for that any day of the week. Now, it's a different play caller. It's a different system. So I don't want to say that it's naturally going to translate. But if this is a guy who flirted with the NFL draft and has the potential to play in the NFL, logic would suggest that this upward trajectory continues, even if, ladies, we've been, I don't want to say but we've had tantalizing talents, dual threat quarterbacks at Miami before who have not panned out in the last 6-7 years alone.
Yeah, and he doesn't run a ton. That's what's crazy is he had the first year at Washington State only 58 yards rushing and then 144 last season. But he did have 8 rushing touchdowns last season. So it seems like he's more so that guy once they get to the red zone, you'll see him more. being able to use a little bit of his speed and mobility when it comes to that. It is interesting because when you go back, and one of the things I read that Cristobal did this offseason, which we've talked about it in the Gators realm of what were the Gators' biggest weaknesses, what have they worked on in camp, but coaching-wise, what did they change? And we talked about the defensive addition to Austin Armstrong. But Cristobal said they added a time management coach after, obviously, what happened versus Georgia Tech. So Cristobal is noticing where the glaring issues were and have addressed those things. And obviously the quarterback issue was one of those, and then those little intricate things that were happening during games. So to me, he is able to at least identify and admit, and now it's just to see if those translate into the season.
Yeah, and I didn't mention special teams as far as weaknesses for Florida last year, but obviously that was one of those, and so Napier made a hire in that too. Look, I think Cam Ward can play really well, and Miami could still potentially lose the game. It's not just how basically the quarterback plays. Certainly you can get points offensively through that, but if your defense isn't able to, say, stop a Trey Wilson or, the new guys that Florida has, then that's the question, like a Chimere DK from Wisconsin. If he and Mertz, have some explosive plays, Miami defensively last year had a really good secondary, but those guys went off to the NFL. So how did they replace that? At the end of the day, I've said this before, I think it's one of those instant classic games. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I do think the crowd noise will help Florida. But as far as who wins, it could come down to, like we just saw this past Saturday, a field goal as time expires. And whether it's Mario Cristobal winning and his fan base can get off his back, or if it's Billy Napier and his Florida team winning at home.
Somebody gets to breathe for one more week.
Correct, for one more week. Right, exactly. Yeah. All right, we've got more to do. Taylor has a tangent when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This is Helmets and Heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. Frank Franchi.
Questions? Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Frank Franchi.
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
Afternoons on 1010XL.
Yeah, but he ought to have a real gig.
92.5 FM.
Next question.
Mia here, and when I was buying a new construction home last summer, there was no question. Dreamfinders Homes was the builder for me. A big reason why? Their unbeatable interest rates. Right now, you could take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. Find your dream home, take advantage of unbeatable rates, and move in today. I'll say it again, 2.99% year one. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
What makes a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle so special? 182-point inspection, 24/7 roadside assistance, first-year free oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty for carefree driving backed by American Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
Imagine stepping out of your cozy cabin on a crisp fall morning, coffee in hand, a stunning view from your private porch greets you. You spend the day relaxing at the tiki bar or taking a dip in the year-round pool while catching the big game on TV. Welcome to Island Oaks RV Resort, just past McClenny off exit 333. Book your cabin that sleeps 4 to 6 people. A close, affordable getaway with activities for the whole family. Make memories that last at Island Oaks RV Resort. IslandOaksRVResort.com.
Looking to elevate your game night experience? Look no further than Best Bet. We're not just a card room, we're your destination for excitement, fun, and big wins. Whether you're a seasoned player or new to the game, we have something for everyone. Join us at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, or St. Augustine for thrilling tournaments, exciting promotions, and a vibrant atmosphere that will take your game night to the next level. Elevate your game night at Best Bet. Visit bestbetjacks.com to learn more. That's bestbetjacks.com.
At Hidden Hills Golf Club, we truly love the game of golf. We invite you to book your next tee time here and enjoy a golfing experience that you might not find at other public facilities. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com. You'll be glad you did.
Mortgage rates have plummeted, and Loan Pronto clients are locking in the lowest rates we've seen in years. Hey, it's Roger Moore, founder and CEO of Loan Pronto. It's happening. We are finally locking APRs in the 5s, something we haven't seen for a long time. If that sky-high rate is killing you or you need to get cash out of your home equity, now is the time to take action. Or listen, even if you want to keep that first mortgage rate intact, you can take advantage of lower rates with our Equity Express line of credit. We're seeing homeowners take $50, $75, $200 grand or more out of their equity and wiping out that high-interest debt. with an average savings of $850 per month. Bottom line, your home value is way up and mortgage rates have come way down, making this a great time to act. Call today for a 30-second rate quote. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 mortgage payments. 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. 904-999-1508.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org.
It's a Helmets and Heels Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Don't make a bad call when it comes to servicing your home. Cooling off with a baby pool in the house to fix your air conditioning problem is a bad call. Trying to catch a wave in a flooded bathroom is a bad call. Using a burning electrical panel to make s'mores is a bad call. The next time something goes wrong, make a good call to Donovan.
Whether you need air, electric, or plumbing service, Donovan is always a good call. It's why we've been trusted by our customers for almost 40 years and why you can trust us to deliver fast, reliable service to your home. Donovan, always a good call.
Visit DonovanAC.com today.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match. Or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari at Bari Orthopedics.
Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish. And he's listening to the Nimnicht Outdoor Show.
With tips and stories.
Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning.
Every Saturday morning, 7 to 10.
On 1010XL.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, you can get up to $1,500 off select appliances from top brands like LG, America's most reliable line of appliances, like the LG Smart Top Load Washer with easy unload angled front, so you can reach every last sock. Right now, get up to $1,500 off select appliances in-store and online with Labor Day savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid August 22nd through September 11th. U.S. only. See store online for details. America's most reliable line of appliances per independent study.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Clearwater. John, I can't even mow my side yard. It's so soggy. Man, my builder sucks.
Brent, calm down. This is a common problem in neighborhoods where houses are built too close together. You need gutters and a properly installed French drain that will soak up subsurface water. We can completely dry it up.
So I can take my builder off my speed dial now, huh?
Yeah, we got you, buddy. Let that builder bitterness go.
Clearwater irrigation and drainage too.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Good news for those Jaguar fans that were heartbroken when the team released former sixth-rounder Christian Braswell. He has gone unclaimed, and he is re-signing to the Jaguars practice squad, according to Adam Kaplan, who broke the news yesterday of Braswell's release. I have on good intel that he did have some offers from some other teams, and so great news for Jacksonville, considering they did hedge their bet, at least from my vantage point, by keeping five cornerbacks, on the 53-man roster initially, and 11 defensive linemen.
I think Braswell is a guy that we saw him almost score a touchdown in the second preseason game. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I think people honestly were most surprised, just because that's what they remembered. Yeah. And yes,
well, and especially because
listed as the starting nickel on the first depth chart, but again, that was never the correct depth chart.
Correct. It was never the correct depth chart. And also, I think that, for those who are clamoring as to, well, why would you keep Buster Brown? Well, Buster Brown single-handedly won you games down the stretch last year. I mean, not down the stretch, but unfortunately, it would be nice if he did.
Did not win games.
No, but he did win you the game in New Orleans. Yes. He did win you the game in New Orleans. He has proven that he can step in and provide solid depth in the case of injury. Additionally, I think that with Braswell, because he can play outside, but more so is a slot guy. And because you have a litany of players who can slide inside, whether that's Darnell Savage, who is your expected nickel, albeit as a safety, Jarian Jones, a third-round rookie out of Florida State, Antonio Johnson could slide in as well. You don't necessarily have as many guys who, in a pinch, you could say, go play outside. Right now, the players you have who could do that are Buster Brown and a fifth-round rookie in DeAndre Prince. That's it. So that's why Buster Brown is there, to provide that depth that in a moment's notice, heaven forbid Darby or Tyson Campbell goes down, he steps right in seamlessly in the middle of a game. Whereas if you were to have that at the nickel position, there's a host of guys who you could pull from. Now, by having him in the practice squad, that's huge, because if one of those guys was to go down and you had a week of preparation, you can plan on bringing him up now, and essentially that gives you that sixth cornerback.
Yeah, and you know exactly what you're getting
Correct.
with him coming up.
Correct.
It's also, I think, front office knowing which guys they think they'll be able to retain on their practice squad because of good conversations that they had. All right, right now, Taylor Dahl has a tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
I'm going to look at some quarterback coach duos that are ranked as the best in the NFL right now. To preface some of the criteria, number one, it can't be a new coach and quarterback working together. They do not qualify for this list.
So no Dave Canales and Bryce Young.
Yes.
Dang it.
No, none of that. No Herbert and Harbaugh. No Fields or Russ and Tomlin. None of those. Also, play calling and not play calling neither helps or hurts the coach in this list. Longevity isn't everything, so it doesn't have to be a coach or quarterback that's been together for a long time. Obviously, not one season, but a little more than that. And it does say championships help. Yes, winning the ultimate prize matters in our ranking. So the look, just real quick, at last year's to refresh some people. Number one, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, obviously.
Not going to change.
Yeah. Number two was Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor. Number three was Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni. Number four was Josh Allen, Sean McDermott. Number five was Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh. 6, Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay. 7, Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan. 8, Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy. 9 was Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson. And 10 was Daniel Jones and Brian Daboll.
They loved Brian Daboll that one year.
And I love Daboll, too. I think
I think Daboll's a good coach.
He's just been given.
I think Danny Dimes is the problem.
That's just not it. So
look at what he did to Josh Allen.
Yeah.
We don't know what Josh Allen is, and he still could be the very same player, but we don't know what he is if not for Brian Daboll's strong hand, especially considering the up and down roller coaster last year without that strong voice and a Sean McDermott-led team that, let's be real, Sean McDermott's a defensive guy.
Yes. So we'll start at 10 on this list, and this is probably no surprise to everything that's been going on this offseason, but number 10 is C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans. It says, amazing what 1 year can do for the franchise with the right coach and the right quarterback. Stroud is already one of the game's top quarterbacks and is only getting better, while Ryans is already one of the game's top young coaches, and then it put in parentheses, if not the best. Stroud and Ryans became just the third rookie quarterback coach duo to win a playoff game since 1950, joining Flacco and John Harbaugh in 2008 and Mark Sanchez and Rex Ryan in 2009. Both were responsible for leading the Texans to a 10-7 record and an AFC South Division title in their first season together. So I don't think after all of the chatter of this offseason that's any surprise. So going down to number 9 is Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy. Prescott and McCarthy get a lot of flack for not getting the Cowboys past the second round of the playoffs, but the duo has done a lot of winning over their time together. The Cowboys do have 36 wins over the last 3 seasons, which is the most regular season victories for any team in a 3-year span without a conference championship appearance. That's definitely one of those conversations that I think we'll forever have with Dak. What is the issue there? Why can they never get over that hump? Is it just the Dallas curse, or is it McCarthy, or is it Dak? Because we've definitely seen Dak just completely fall apart in the situations where he didn't need to. But then he had a career year last year where you were looking at Dak Prescott as one of the top quarterbacks in the league throughout the season. When it came down to it, just couldn't do it. Number 8, Jared Goff and Dan Campbell. Said the other new duo to make the list for the first time. Goff and Campbell are taking the Lions to heights the franchise hasn't seen since 1991, which was the last time the franchise made the conference championship game before last season. The Lions won their first division title since the 1993 season, and their first playoff game since 1991 this last season. That one, I think, makes a whole lot of sense. People are really high on obviously both of them. But I will say it's kind of interesting because a lot of the Lions fans that I've talked to which they love Dan Campbell. They're not saying they don't. But they're terrified Ben Johnson's going to get a head coaching job somewhere, and they're really afraid what the offense is going to do when Ben Johnson's gone because they're like, Dan Campbell's great, but they think a lot of the offensive success is more Ben Johnson than it is Dan Campbell. So that is something to keep an eye on because if another season happens like it did last year in Detroit, I do think there are going to be teams that are going to be looking at Ben Johnson. So go down to number 7, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni.
I wasn't surprised that they moved down.
I was thinking that too. Especially, we've heard a lot of them not quite getting along right now. So that's an interesting thing to keep an eye out this season when you're looking at this team and kind of the way that Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni are meshing, because we've seen other situations where a quarterback has the talent and you've seen them be successful and you've seen this coach be successful. But when the coach and quarterback are not getting along, it splits quick. So that's one thing to keep an eye on. Yeah, I wasn't surprised that dropped. Number 6 is going to be Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor. I don't think that's a surprise. Number 5 is Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. Let's go down to number 4 is Josh Allen and Sean McDermott. To your point, Mia, I think this is one that we'll watch this year, what Josh Allen, what he looks like with a lot of newness surrounding him, no Stephon Diggs, kind of a whole revamped offense. The one thing that Buffalo always gets to count on is their defense is always in the top 5, 6, 7 of the league. So that helps because it's a tough out for any team that plays them, which I do think helps when you're talking about Josh Allen being able to maybe have a little leeway to really figure things out in the first few weeks. Number 3 is Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, I think, is always going to make this list. He's just is one of the ones we're going to talk about for a while. Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh is number 2. And then, of course, number 1 is Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. So no Trevor Lawrence and Doug on this list, no Tua and Mike McDaniel on this list. So there are a few interesting ones. I think for the most part, most you expect to be at the top of this list. But it is fascinating to see the changes in between 1 year and how that kind of makes it look a little bit different for people from the outside.
I'm totally fine with they being the Jaguars, using this as more fuel. Mm-hmm. Just reminding themselves that nobody believes in them because the defense collapsed last season and Trevor was hurt.
Yep. And that's kind of when I've been polled by people across the nation. That's what I've said. It's going to be a different chip on the shoulder. This is a group, which is funny to say considering Trevor Lawrence lost 4 times before he got to the National Football League between high school and college. This is a group that prides itself on playing well when they're the underdog and they're playing with house money. But even then, first of all, you want them eventually to get to a point where they can be a front runner and they can be confident in their abilities. But it still feels like this is a team that, because they're counted out, that is when you see them play with a different edge. You saw it even when they went into Houston Week 12 at 7-3, or Week 11, I guess that was.
Yeah. They
went into that game, and that was one of the most cohesive games you saw this unit play because I think they were counted out and they felt like they had something to prove. And so I go back to that, and I'm like, that small snapshot, if that is what this team can be, and now you fortified this roster and made it even deeper, yes, the Jaguars are a playoff contender, if not a divisional conference championship round contender in 2024.
Trevor lost, by the way, real quick, Taylor. Trevor lost the 4 games in college and in high school and college, right? And then 4 games in September in 2021.
Yeah, that was not fun. We have the official additions to the practice squad.
Let's head to that, RJ.
That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, so the Jacksonville Jaguars have made the following additions to the practice squad. The team announced today. Tight end Sean Bowman, cornerback Christian Braswell, wide receiver Joshua Cephas, defensive end DJ Coleman, wide receiver Elijah Cooks, tight end Josiah DeGuara, safety Terrell Edmonds, cornerback Trey Flowers, defensive end Joe Gaziano, running back Jalen Jackson, offensive lineman Stephen Jones, linebacker Tanner Muse, quarterback EJ Perry, and wide receiver Austin Trammell.
So 2 spots left to fill the practice squad, and all the guys that everyone was upset about in Braswell, in Coleman, in Cooks, in Edmonds, in Flowers, in Jalen Jackson, and Austin Trammell all made the practice squad.
And also of note, according to Justin Mello of the Draft Network, one of those 2 remaining spots will be filled by former Titans DB Matthew Jackson. And so we will await the news of that confirmation from the team.
Sounds good. We've got lunch for 2 on the other side to give away. 1 segment to go here on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Yo, if you've been following me on my bookie, you will know that I'm hitting for straight cash, homie. It's your boy E.T. And are you ready for the ultimate college football season? Using my bookie's sportsbook and casino platform, you can bet on every game and win anytime, anywhere, straight from your mobile device. No app necessary. Just click on the link, sign up, and you're ready to rock. Did you know that the average college football game runs about 180 plays? Every catch, sack, and touchdown is another way to hit that straight cash, homie, using my bookie. And when you bet with my bookie, you're not just watching the games, you're investing in every moment of the action. And I'm speaking from experience. A few bucks on the line can turn any regular game into one of the most exciting games of the season. So make sure you head over to my bookie. And don't forget to use promo code 1010XL when signing up to claim that $1,000 bonus on the first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with my bookie. Come on, somebody.
Hey, Jacksonville, Taylor Dahl here of Helmets and Heels. Are you looking for a remix on the original chicken sandwich? The Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich is a flavorful spin on a familiar favorite, created with a Chick-fil-A filet, a drizzle of honey, pickled jalapenos, and a spread of savory pimento cheese. The Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich combines your favorite flavors with a twist. And this year, it's back with a bite with a spicy filet option, available for a limited time only, so stop by and enjoy one today at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant.
City AC, keeping you cool.
Feeling the heat, Jacksonville? Cool down with Bold City Heating and Air. From repairs to energy-efficient installs, we do it all. Family-owned and trusted since 2016, we offer clear pricing, NATE-certified techs, and unbeatable service. Call Bold City Heating and Air today and experience the bold difference.
Bold City AC, keeping you cool. Bold City AC.
Visit boldcityac.com.
Nia here, and why Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned? Because when it comes to selection, you don't want to have to compromise at all. You want to get it all, and that's exactly what you will find at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Just listen to this, folks. Over 275 SUVs, over 200 cars, over 100 pickups, over 50 luxury vehicles. That, my friends, is over 600 vehicles, and they are all in one location. Maybe you're buying your kid's first car, or you're on a tight budget and really need some wheels. Arlington Pre-Owned even has 125 vehicles under $18K. And if you're looking for buying confidence, you found it. Because when you buy from Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned, you get 60 days to love it or exchange it. 60 days. Need a little credit help? Arlington has your back with the Credit for Everyone program to help get you financed. Why Arlington? The better question is, why not? Don't wait. Shop Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned today. In person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband-wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at Goosehead.com.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Helmets and Heels.
It's the end of summer sale with Renewal by Andersen, energy-efficient, custom-built replacement windows and doors. Save $300 on every window and $825 on all patio doors. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. But restrictions apply, and this offer expires August 31st. Renewal by Andersen, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com for details.
License number CGC 1527613.
Hey gang, Hicken here for Zero Res. Man, it is hot outside this time of the year. Many of us are staying inside or going to the pool. Well, my friends at Zero Res are also heating things up. As you know, Zero Res does a great job of cleaning carpets and rugs. But they also clean luxury vinyl planking, tile and grout, fine stone and hardwood floors. And right now, the hottest price of the year, 25% off all hardwood cleaning. That's 25% off tile, LVP, fine stone, and hardwood floors. Zero res, man. Spell it forward. Zero res, spell it back. It's the right way to clean.
Zero res.
See the world through the eyes of a linebacker.
I tell it like I see it, and I see it like a middle linebacker.
Tom McManus joins Jaguars Today every Friday morning.
Period.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Here's Ben and John Lupo, owners of Beards Diamonds.
What's funny, my dad has sold people engagement rings, and now I'm selling their kids engagement rings and anniversary gifts and birthday gifts.
We're blessed with the relationships we've built over the years.
Check out our full inventory at beardsdiamonds.com.
Beards Diamonds in the St. John's Town Center.
Staying active no matter what your age is key to living life at its fullest. And Rebound Rehabilitation wants you to know they can get you back up to speed and back in the game pain-free. Rebound Rehabilitation with 8 locations across the First Coast, top-of-the-line therapists ready to assist you. From neck and back pain, knee or foot pain, they can help. Excellent patient care combined with the highest quality in rehabilitation services. Look for a Rebound Rehab location near you and get back in the game. Log on, reboundrehab.com.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Roster moves for the Jags yesterday as they finalized their roster. Rookies Brian Thomas Jr., Jarian Jones, Javon Foster, Miles Cole, Jordan Jefferson, Deontay Prince, and Cam Little all secured their spot. General Manager Trent Baalke spoke with the media yesterday on many of the draft picks making the team.
You keep the best 53 guys, and regardless of age, does that play a factor? Yeah, when things are equal or close to equal, and you're looking at upside potential, where they're at currently. There's so many things that go into it, but like Coach said, everybody that's in those rooms earned it, and now it's their job to keep it, as we progress through, and they know it, and that's just the business. We're all in it. It's what have you done for me lately?
I'm Molly McDonald with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
Well, I can safely say I got to work today, and I did not realize that Georgia fans believed Clemson's defensive line is where they may have the advantage. I think Lauren also brought up a great stat during our chat with JP Priester previewing Clemson and Georgia, that one outfit lost 8 players to the NFL draft, the other lost 6, 3 of them along the defensive line. But 2 teams that are bringing back not only their quarterbacks, but a lot of talent. And so I don't think it'll be 10-7 on Saturday. I do think the Dogs win by 2 scores.
It just now occurred to me when we just talked about the practice squad. So you're saying that we know that there were 14 guys on there.
Yes.
And you're saying there was one more in Matthew Jackson who got added.
Yes.
So that's 15. So do you think that this is a conversation with Tyler Shatley to see if he wants the 16th spot?
I see a heel again on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures, stumping as much for Tyler Shatley. Mm-hmm. Not sure.
So yesterday, didn't it sound to you, Mia, when we were in that room that it seemed like they were talking in past tense about him? Because that's what I took away from it.
It sounded like they were talking in past tense, but Trent Baalke continued to stress never say never.
Right. That to me, though, is the last ditch, I need to cover my tracks almost. But they just seem so appreciative for his tenure and not, we want to get him on the practice squad.
Right. I think that, and again, and Taylor, you've floated it. If another team was to come to Tyler Shatley and say either A, we want you on the practice squad, or B, on the 53-man roster, would he take it? He's not going to uproot his family. Does he want to leave his family? Mm-hmm. Or is he just conveniently in town if duty calls?
Wink, wink.
That's why it was funny because Rick Ballou tweeted yesterday and said Tyler Shatley will be playing at some point 4 games this season. That's what he wrote. And it's just you kind of get that vibe more than Tyler. I personally get that vibe that we'll see him at some point this season over him going somewhere else.
Yeah, my question, I guess, more is, does he just retire? Since that was his plan at the end of the season, if he's not going to be on the 53. But if you make it all the way through training camp and you're on the edge of making the roster, do you, think, well, if I stay in shape, I could make some game checks. Now, Blake Hance was also not on the practice squad. So
that's interesting.
That's another one that's interesting because I thought he was also towards the some of the last guys cut.
Maybe Shatley will just be like, call me in like week 5, 6 if you need me, but I'm not going to go practice squad.
I personally think that the 16th spot, if Justin Mello of the Draft Network's report is true and Matthew Jackson has the 15th spot, that 16th spot on the practice squad has to be an offensive lineman. Because right now, the only other offensive lineman you have is Stephen Jones, who is still working his way back from an injury and was limited during training camp. And so whether it is Blake Hansen, it's just a matter of he and his representation are trying to figure out if there's a 53-man roster spot for him somewhere out there. They did have, and boy, oh boy, I'm going to butcher this name big time. They actually had the former Nebraska offensive lineman, Noriden Noili, in for a visit yesterday. He's from Germany. But even then, he may actually be filling your international pathway program because Patrick Murtaugh cleared waivers, and so he's going to revert to season-ending IR. So if he fills that spot, I still think that 16th spot, you go out and you find an offensive lineman, whether it's a vested veteran or a young guy.
Does this mean that with Adam Gotsis not on the team, there are no Australians on the team anymore?
Well, no, because technically Patrick Murtaugh is in the building. It's just that, like, he's around. Like, Deshaun Dixon, same thing, since he cleared waivers and has reverted to season-ending IR. They're both still there. They've been at practice. They were in the locker room after the preseason game against the Bucs. Like, they're there. So he is there, if only in meetings and spirit.
It does seem like a little bit of breaking news came out as Jay Glazer's announced that the Steelers made their decision. Russell Wilson will be the starter for week 1 in Pittsburgh. But going back to...
by the way, real quick, I wonder if they're going to do some sort of 2-quarterback package.
Yeah, try and figure something out.
Like we've talked about all offseason with Florida and DJ Lagway, the freshman, coming in with Graham Mertz, because those guys are a little bit different in their playing styles. I wonder if that's up Tomlin's sleeve.
I mean, the Bears did it. Fields' rookie year, didn't they?
Not really. No, because he didn't start. It was Andy Dalton.
But didn't he come in that first game?
He, like, towards the end, I don't know. But then they didn't really mix him in like that. But it was more so we wanted that. Like, honestly, Bears fans were shouting to see that a little bit more. Just be like, give him some, like, actual in-game regular season time to see what you have. And then they didn't really. And then he got thrown in against the Browns and got sacked 9 times.
That's always fun.
Which... I feel bad for. I saw a chart the other day about how it was like the worst quarterbacks when it comes to pressure to sack ratio, and it's literally Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. So I was like, the Steelers fans might be a little stressed this year when it comes to those sacks. It's 2 of the most sacked quarterbacks the last few years. But to the point when we're talking about the practice squad, and this is just another indication of people don't want your cut guys. Like, people don't want your waiver guys most of the time. It's very rare. We saw 26 get picked up today out of all of the ones that are cut. So when we do get to that point every year when we're saying that, oh, well, here's a list of 5 guys that may go somewhere else, they're probably not. Like, the chances of that happen, most of the guys hitting the waivers are hitting the waivers for a reason, and you may like them because you've seen them in camp and you've seen them play in the preseason. But for the most part, your waiver guys are probably going to end up back on your team, especially if your organization likes them.
By the way, one of the Heeligans has sounded off for you, Taylor. Would Justin Fields not be elite in a Taysom Hill-like role?
I mean,
is he thick enough to be in
he's
that
big.
role?
Yeah, he's a big guy. I don't think people realize how big Justin Fields actually is. I don't know. That's interesting. They kind of joked about the idea of him being like a return guy, and then there was some jokes about him possibly being a wide receiver and things like that. But I think that Justin hated running, and he would say that. Like, he was like, I'm tired of running. I'm a quarterback. I don't want to have to run the ball. So I'm not sure that he would want to. But I saw the Saints talking about it today, about how Taysom Hill is just one of those guys that you can do so many different things with, and maybe the ability to do that gives you options, but that doesn't make you one of the best players in the league.
Plug for Taylor and her Making Monsters podcast. You have Robert Mays on this week. With regards to Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh, Robert Mays may have just won Twitter today. He quote tweeted Jay Glazer's report with the meme from The Office where it says, "It is your birthday," with like the birthday party sign.
Oh, yeah, just,
like that. Those are the vibes.
One little string of
yes, those are the vibes in Pittsburgh right now. Like, yay, Russell Wilson. Woo. I guess they're happy out there, and the Yinzers are happy out in Western Pennsylvania because Troy Fatino, who I affectionately call Troy Fats, has returned to practice. So hopefully he can hold up on the right side. And we'll see what happens in Pittsburgh. It's Mike Tomlin. They're going to luck their way somehow into 9 wins. It's just who they are.
We already saw the 2 quarterback role this past weekend, and that's what Georgia Tech did. They brought in Zach Pyron, and granted, he only got a couple carries, but that helps them. He got one of the touchdowns.
Yeah.
So it certainly was a help for them. And so, yeah, we'll see. I doubt in the NFL they're going to do that, but it's always fun in college when they do that. All right, before we get out of here today, we have lunch for 2, right, Taylor?
We do. Lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call. Lunch on the ladies today, 641-1010. Let's say caller number 3.
I like it. Caller number 3, 641-1010. You get lunch for 2. Final thoughts as far as the practice squad is concerned. To me, the one guy that I think we could see called up besides Christian Braswell could be like an Austin Trammell. If there's an injury to one of the returners, I do think he's a guy that can be pretty good in the return game.
Yeah, and I also think you could say the same for DJ Coleman. Yeah. I think that he has proven that he has developed, and that is the new buzzword. We've gone from onboarding to development here in Duval County. So I could see a world in which he is called up. The bigger names, though, the 2 for me, Lauren, are Josiah DeGuara and then Terrell Edmonds. Let's begin with DeGuara. He wasn't signed by the Jaguars until right before the NFL draft, which says to me that they went to him and said, this is the plan. Work with us, off-season program, training camp. We're probably only going to keep 3 tight ends on the active roster. Heaven forbid an injury comes, then you're right there. But we can, so long as you clear waivers, or in his case was a vested veteran, so long as you are able to make it to the practice squad, you will be the 4th guy should we need a 4th tight end. And so I think this was in the cards, at least from my vantage point, all along for DeGuara.
Yeah.
And I think with Edmonds as well, there's this idea of, you know what, Dewey's out for at least the first 4 weeks. Only kept 4 safeties on the roster. Daniel Thomas has been banged up, is considered day-to-day, even though he's expected, it sounds like right now, to be ready week 1. You're right there in the waiting, and you could be a call-up week 1 or week 2 if needed.
Yeah, and I think that one is probably the one that stands out the most to me, the Terrell Edmonds one, just because I do think that, like you said, there's only 4. So if something happens to one of them, he is going to be the person that's going to be called up. Or let's say we hear from Dewey. Dewey's not looking like he'll be ready in that week 6, 7, and they start to worry a little bit. Probably one of the first people, even though they have Deshaun Gibson coming up around that time, they still may take a little look at Terrell Edmonds.
All right, so let's say hello to the biggest cane I know, Leon Searcy.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Injury Care Centers. Discover BioTarget Regenerative Therapy, a safer drug-free solution for lasting pain relief. Visit GoBioTarget.com.
You guys should arm wrestle.
She's got her Florida colors on, too.
Huh? I see she does. She's repping.
No, this is not
You're not repping?
orange and blue. Not until Friday.
Okay,
then I'll
all right.
have the
These
actual
are Bears
orange and
colors,
blue.
actually.
I'm wearing mines all week. I'm right now.
Well, you probably have a little bit more gear than I do.
I do have a little swag at the house, a little swag.
Have you made the decision? Are you going to be on the field yet, or you're in the box?
I'm doing neither.
Neither. You're going to be at JJ's house?
No. I'm going to go to the tailgate.
Okay.
But I can't see myself on the sidelines from 3:30 to 7. Too hot.
So you'll be in the stands.
Or are you going to a local watering hole?
I will be at a tailgate watching the game.
Okay,
outside.
that works.
Yes.
Where on campus is the tailgate? Do you know?
I don't know. I will get all that information Friday, actually.
I like that.
Yeah.
I love
That'd be fun,
tailgating in Gainesville, not just because I went there, but there's a lot of shade. There's not a lot of shade on some campuses when you tailgate, but there's tons of shade in Gainesville.
Plenty of trees, huh?
Plenty of trees.
Shade
yeah.
tree.
I'm good.
And there's
Leon's
lots
like,
of...
I was going to say, I don't know about shade trees,
I'm
shade tree
good.
sun these days.
Listen, anytime I cannot. Listen, I've already lost a lot of LBs. And anytime I could go to a tailgate and not lose more LBs, I'm good.
Well, there's a lot of houses around there, too. Now there's some apartments and condos since when I was there, but there's still a ton of houses that let you park there. Obviously, you pay to park, but
nice.
They also will let you go to the bathroom, and sometimes they'll provide you with tents.
Bathroom in their house?
Yeah.
That's a trust.
Yeah. Well, you just pay a little bit more to tailgate. But
We get some air condition for a second, and that way.
I will all day.
We ran through the MyBookie lines for the MyBookie midweek picks, Leon. 2.5-point favorites.
Okay.
Are your Canes.
All right.
How you feel about that?
I feel pretty good. I do.
Walk-off field goal action or walk-off field goal action?
Unfortunately, forgive me, Lauren.
You're
I don't
fine.
feel it's going to be that close, to be honest with
Wow,
you. I'm just being honest. See, I can be arrogant and obnoxious because I'm not playing in the game. All right, it's their job to defend me. It's their job to make me look
So
good.
you're looking at that Georgia minus 13.5, and you're
No,
like, oh, yeah,
I think-
that's something we're going to be able to conjure.
I think the score is going to be 30-20.
30-20. Interesting.
Did you go, by the way, to the 2004 Peach Bowl game in Atlanta between Florida and Miami?
I did not. No,
Okay. I was there, and I thought of it today because Devin Hester had a 78-yard touchdown return
I
in that
remember that.
game.
You know what? They were showing
Sounds
that.
about right.
They were showing that on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been fun to go down memory lane with everybody on the radio.
We don't have enough memory lanes between Miami and Florida.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. It's called Steve Spurrier once the SEC expanded. He wanted to play Miami, and then the SEC expanded, and Jeremy Foley and Spurrier decided that probably was not the right path.
Yeah.
All right, what's coming up today?
Well, we got college ball. We're going to talk about the big games coming up in the next couple of days. And I got one of my former teammates, Calvin Harris.
Oh, yes.
You remember Calvin?
Of course I do.
He's a jokester, I tell
He is
you.
one of the most active participants on X.com that there is.
Yes. And you know what? I had to get my jokes in line for him because I know he's going to come out swinging at me early on.
We need to make sure we're recording this because
it's going to be classy.
Yeah, it always is. It'll rile those Gator fans up. It'll rile the Knowles fans up somehow because he always delivers.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Leon.
You got it.
Like I said, the biggest cane I know, that would be Leon
I
Cersei.
thought you said canine at first. I was like,
That's because you still wanted me to talk about cats and dogs. Exactly. All right, these heels are made for talking. We will talk to you on Friday. Of course, don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is coming up next. For me, O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.